Hey, what's up everyone? It's Michael Lynch here, and what do we got in front of me? We got the brown sugar version of the Lakanto monk fruit sweetener, and we got the regular brown sugar. Which one's best? We're about to find out. Make some banana bread. Check it out. Okay everyone, so yes, we are back at it again. I love snacks. If you're on any of my van life road trips, and maybe you see me picking out on snacks, maybe you don't. Actually, I don't think I put it in any of my footage because I'm self-conscious about it. I'm like everyone else. I'm a little older, my metabolism is slowing down. I need to eat less sugar. So I've been really keen on this monk fruit sweetener. I did a Vietnamese iced coffee video about it, and now I drink zero added sugar Vietnamese iced coffee, which is one of my favorites. But it's so hard to find this brown sugar version. And I think actually what they call it is, yeah, this golden raw cane sugar replacement. If you know anything about brown sugar has just a little bit of the molasses from the sugar cane still in it, so it's a little more raw. That's what makes it brown. So while this doesn't say it's brown sugar, if it's a replacement for raw cane sugar, it's pretty much the same. So I finally found some. I got it. It's excellent, at least I think so. It's excellent that I found some, put it that way. So I want to see which one is better. So I got, as you can see, almost non-yellow bananas here that are going to be perfect for making some banana bread. I have 3 each. I'm going to make 2 batches, and I'm going to make 4 mini loaves. So I'm going to adjust my regular banana bread recipe for the 4 mini loaves. I got all my ingredients all lined up here in front of me. This is basically everything I need to make this very, very simple banana bread. I do not put walnuts, pecans, or any other kind of tree nuts or anything in my banana bread, nor do I sprinkle powdered sugar or anything like that. Just use what's here. Talking regular flour, some baking soda. I know some people put a little baking powder in there. I don't. I just use baking soda, sea salt. One of the batches will have straight brown sugar. One of the batches will have the Lakanto version of it. I use real butter. I don't use any butter substitutes. Real vanilla extract, and of course my almost nasty to the point of being rotten bananas that are just so perfect for this banana bread. So let's get started. Okay, so I did take my bananas and I peeled them. I'm mashing them. I like to mash them with a fork. But where we're at right now in the process, so getting started and everything, just like you make any kind of bread or any kind of little baking stuff, cake, muffins, whatever. Generally what you do is you start with your dry ingredients or with your wet, and then you go to your dry, wet, whatever, you vice versa. You make them separate. So what I've done here is I have 4 bowls. I have my wet ingredient bowls, my dry ingredient bowls. So what I'm doing right now, mashing together these overripe bananas, which you can see in the camera there, they're not brown or anything like that. The outsides were almost completely brown, as you saw before. But the reason why you do that and let them kind of over-ripen is it helps draw out some of the natural sugar in the bananas to help make the bread sweeter. So while this bread will have, well, at least the Lakanto version will have no added sugar, there will be the natural sugar from the bananas, which bananas are a tropical fruit. And yeah, tropical fruits have a lot of sugar. So I am by no means trying to advertise this as keto friendly or anything like that. I mean, it's got wheat flour and stuff in it. So it's not an Atkins low carb type of thing. But if you're like me, you like sweets, you know you have to regulate your sweets. And ideally, regulate your sweet food you eat by eating things that taste sweet but have less sugar in them. This is going to be right up your alley. And that's why I'm making it for moi. So, and hopefully you'll make it for yourself if it turns out good. And by the way, this is the absolute first time I'm ever making this, so there's no rehearsals here. This is all on YouTube camera. First time making it. All right, so I got my bananas mashed in here. Now I need to put about a ½ cup of butter in each, and I'm going to be using just regular ass butter. No butter substitutes, nothing with lower fat content or anything like that, just salt and cream that's been churned together to make butter. Okay, so I got my butter. I have 8 ounces of butter total in my big brick, but put 4 ounces each. So 1 cup of butter to each side here. It actually worked out pretty good because the Irish butter that I use, I get it from Costco in bulk, and it comes in big 8-ounce bricks. So it's really easy to split up into two 4-ounce little half bricks. But what I wanted to show is kind of how this looks here. So this is the regular light brown sugar that I have here, right here on my left. I just pulled this out. I'm actually going to put 3/4 of a cup into the butter and mix it through. But I want to show this is the Lakanto brown sugar, and you can see my hands are totally clean. But put this in here. It's just like white sugar in the way you move it around and the small granules, whereas this is much more coarse. It has that little bit of a wet feeling to it that brown sugar usually has. But I'm going to go ahead and mix this in with my butter and my other wet ingredients, which do include 2 eggs per batch. I did forget to have those on display beginning of this. I am going to put eggs in this. But I'm going to put 3/4 of a cup of brown sugar and then 3/4 of a cup of the brown sugar substitute in the batch. Here we go. So one thing I got to say already just about the monk fruit sweetener is that as I'm kind of creaming my butter, my room temperature butter, into the sweetener, I've noticed that in my brown sugar version, it gets to that nice kind of gooey consistency where the sugar really sticks to the butter and it gets like just, I don't know, look, I kind of want to put my face in there and just eat it. It's all buttery, sugary goodness. But this looks more like I put sand in a bowl of butter right now. I hate to say it. And it's actually kind of behaving that way. It's actually not getting gooey, at least not yet. It doesn't feel like it's soaking up like any of the moisture of the butter. It does feel like some kid like totally punking me and knew I was baking banana bread and saw my butter sitting in a bowl and put a handful of sand in it. But it smells really, really sweet though. So it's not off-putting by any means. It's just kind of funny how it looks, and it's just kind of clumping up like Play-Doh or something, like dry Play-Doh. So let's keep going. As much as I love this monk fruit sweetener, this one already looks so much more appealing. But I haven't added my egg or my vanilla extract yet, so let's see what it looks like once all my ingredients are kind of measured and put in the bowls, and then we combine them with the dry ingredients. Let me go ahead and get to my eggs. Okay, so I got my wet ingredients here. I got my dry ingredients as well. Banana bread is never that appealing when you're first trying to make it, but it is really delicious once you mix everything together. So this is my brown sugar. This is my monk fruit sweetener, the brown sugar substitute monk fruit sweetener. So I'm going to go ahead and combine my wet and dry ingredients. Put those in there. Yes, I was whipping things with a fork because things were kind of clunky and chunky. So put that to the side. Let's go ahead and get this mixed together. Fold it in, if you will. How they say on the baking shows. We're going to fold this all in. Make sure we get all the flour on the side, and whenever you're done, if you've never made banana bread, I've made plenty of banana bread, but I've just never made one with monk fruit sweetener. It is going to turn into almost like a dough instead of like a cake batter, depending on the kind you make. Some people put Greek yogurt or sour cream to keep the batter more moist. I'm going to try that in the future. I typically have not done that traditionally, and so my batters probably come out a little more dense than ones that have yogurt and other things in it. But my banana bread still, it's pretty moist, and I keep it wrapped pretty good. And that's how I maintain that whenever I prepare the loaves. I wrap them really good in cellophane or saran wrap, whatever you want to call it. Cling wrap. Okay, so here's what we got. Brown sugar version, monk fruit version. So old red, brown sugar version. So what I'm using today for my mini pans are these Chicago metallic. They're pretty nice, kind of high-end. mini muffin loaves, and I don't know the exact measurements on them, but they're this big exactly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some baking spray in here. Make sure you understand baking spray, not just regular non-stick cooking spray. Or you can use butter or whatever. Some people like butter, just pure butter, just buttering at the sides. But I'm going to put some spray in here just to make sure that these release properly, and I'm going to fill them to about 2/3 full. Okay, so got my mini pans full. A couple other things to notate on this recipe specifically. So normally I'd have the oven preheated to 350, and all this stuff's going to be in the description below, by the way. Entire recipe, the instructions. But since we're making mini loaves, my normal recipe would call for 350 in the oven. We're going to do these at 325, and the normal cooking time is going to be reduced by about 25% from what you would do with a normal loaf. And so normal full loaves are like 30 to 45 minutes, usually roughly about 40 minutes. So we'll probably do these 25 to 30 minutes in the oven. Checking them at the minimum bake time and just putting a toothpick in them to see if it comes out clean, and just checking it, every 2 to 3 minutes, once we get to the minimum cook time, which is about 20 minutes or so, and just checking every 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes, something like that. Maybe not all those minutes, maybe every 4 to 5 minutes. We'll check them. So let's put them in the oven, see how they look when they come out. Okay, so one thing to mention, I think before I put these in the oven, I was talking about 25 to 35 minutes, something like that, with the average full-size loaf being about 40 minutes. I forgot, my recipe is a little bit more dense. I like it that way. So actually my full loaf recipe requires baking at 350 for 60 minutes. So 40 minutes would actually be 25% less. So I did these at 325 for about 40 minutes. What I did notice is that this is my monk fruit sweetener one, and this is my regular brown sugar version. This one I've noticed it took a while longer to get brown on the top, and you see it actually baked much higher than this one. I don't know if that's because of whatever else is in the monk fruit sweetener, but that's just how it came out. So ended up having to bake these a little longer than I anticipated, about 5 minutes. So these are 45 minutes at 325, where the recipe would normally call for 40 minutes. I'm also at a higher altitude as well. I'm in Salt Lake City, so where my house is, it's about 4,600 feet. Not crazy like when I lived in Denver. I was just over 6,000 feet, so it doesn't really affect it too much here, but it's something to consider. So let's go through and slice these. So I got my trusty bread knife here, and just going to go through, and I'm going to cut off what I would call the culo first, and then get to an actual regular slice that I can taste and test. So leave that there like that. Actually looks pretty good. Cut this culo off. Get to a regular slice. Okay, so we have here, ooh, and it smells so good. You can see the steam still coming up from them maybe on camera, but it's about the same density. So if I look at these, yeah, they're both the same moisture kind of level, really moist banana bread. They're both cooked together. I didn't cook these at different times, even though it seemed like the monk fruit one stayed a little more wet, I guess, on top. It didn't really kind of solidify and start browning until the very end of the baking, whereas this one, you can see it's a little more dark. It's a little more dark than the monk fruit sweetener one. So this one didn't bake up as brown until the very end. You can see this one is dark the entire time. But I made sure I cooked them for the exact same time, so they're both 45 minutes at 325. So looks like this didn't get as dark, but it's also because it just kept puffing up a little more and splitting. This one, the rising stopped, and so we got a nice brown on top of this. Looks really nice. So smell-wise, you can smell the culos. Yeah, there's actually no difference. You cannot detect any difference. And as far as the density, they're both the same kind of density as well. It's really, really odd. So let me go with the traditional one here first. Let's taste this. So I got some of that crust, and I can taste the brown sugar, how it's caramelized a little bit. Tastes really, really good. Okay. Now, so this is, yeah, it's great. So I'm just doing that as a reminder for my palate what this should taste like. No, I'm just kidding. Totally joking. Actually, one more. Get it from the middle here too. Okay, it's weird. It tastes exactly the same, except for the top. So let me get a harder part here. Let me do another one just real quick. Yes, so the only thing different here that I can taste is the very top. And so the very top, how this got really brown and kind of caramelized because of the brown sugar, there's like a crispiness that when you break it just on a little bit of the harder pieces on the very top, that it's almost like you're breaking into like some crystallized sugar or something. Like you get that pop of just, you can't mistake it, it's brown sugar, pure cane sugar. Whereas you don't have that here, and it's also, it's not as hard. It's firm and stuff, but it's not as hard as this, because you can see clearly this seems like this baked longer, but the exact same time. So you don't get that immediate caramelization kind of really hard. I mean, it's firm, but when you crack it open and as you're biting it, you just don't get that explosion of cane sugar, which I think is okay, because you actually taste all the bananas, you taste the vanilla, yeah, everything is there. So if I'm looking at this together, yeah, they're the same density. Nothing's really different about these loaves. If I were to do a switch up and switcheroo and weren't testing them side by side like that, I might not even remember the top being a little more sweeter than the top on this one. So all in all, the brown sugar monk fruit sweetener, yeah, it's a 1-for-1 replacement, just like it says on the marketing content. It does have that erythritol or whatever it is, the other chemical, the non-binding agent for the monk fruit sweetener, that is in there. So it's not just not monk fruit, you know, kind of crystallized monk fruit. There is something else in there which allows you to use it 1-for-1, just like sugar. And as you saw, it was very granular, kind of like white sugar, unlike brown sugar, but the end result baking it, exactly the same. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap up the other 2 loaves, and I may even do a little bit of an experiment and gift those to the same person and not tell them that one is low sugar, just see what they say. See if I can pass it off. I think I will be able to, because these are exactly the same. So with that in mind, if you like what you saw here, please like, subscribe, comment. Also check out my other channel, Beefcake Lynch Gaming. I'm going to have this entire recipe in the description, along with what I did to actually make this work. So if you have the same size little mini loaves, I got those from Sur La Table, and they're called Chicago Metallic. So pretty high end, but they're kind of dark pan, super non-stick. The loaves just kind of came right out of them. So again, like, subscribe, comment, and I'll catch you next time.